Now, in a new twist to the Jeffrey Epstein saga, it has emerged that Peter Mandelson, now British ambassador to Washington, described the paedophile as his best pal in a birthday note. The message was included in a birthday book, which also featured a handwritten drawing of a woman's body allegedly signed by Donald Trump. Well, the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, responded to this letter at her briefing earlier today.
The president has one of the most famous signatures in the world, and he has for many, many years. You know that, Maggie, you've covered him for a long time, long before he assumed this office when he was a businessman in New York. The president did not write that letter. He did not sign those documents. He maintains that position, and that position will be argued in court by his lawyers. The president is very confident he is going to win this case.
Well, that was the White House press secretary speaking a little earlier. Let's talk to Sarah Baxter, director of the Marie Colvin Center for International Reporting. Good evening to you, Sarah.
Hello, Carol.
Good to have you with us. Let's talk about that latest reaction from the White House press briefing. Questions about Jeffrey Epstein and the president's relationship with him just continue to dog Donald Trump, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. And the more that Caroline Leavitt tries to protest it's nothing to do with him and is just a Democratic hoax, the more voters and Americans are being asked not to believe the evidence of their own eyes, because there appears to be plenty of evidence that Donald Trump had an extremely similar signature around 20 years ago, particularly when he's signing in his first name only. So I think this idea that somehow it's not him is for the birds. But, deny is a strategy that has worked extremely well for the Trump White House. So
what do we know?
If he gets away with it.
What do we know about how well President Trump actually knew Jeffrey Epstein? Because we know that they fell out at some stage. I think that was before he went on trial for the more serious allegations, but he had already been convicted of some lesser offences. What do we know about the relationship between the two?
Well, we know that the two men were very good friends and neighbors in Florida, as well as knowing each other in New York. And there's plenty of photographic evidence to suggest that, but not just photographs, because A-listers or C-listers or whoever are often photographed together all over Manhattan. But they often went to each other's home, and indeed Virginia Giuffre, who sadly committed suicide, and was abused by Epstein. She was actually working at Mar-a-Lago when Jeffrey Epstein came across her, and Trump accused Epstein of poaching her from him. So they fell out at some point, and big efforts are being made to say they fell out somehow over Epstein's treatment of women, but other people say it's to do with completely different matters. I should stress, though, Carol, that the dispute with Epstein came, or rather I should say that the friendship with Epstein came before anyone was aware that Epstein was a paedophile. But Trump was certainly aware that he liked women on the younger side because he said so himself.
And we've now had the release of many of these documents from this birthday book. Now, the Democrats actually published all this material, and they appear to include the photographs and the messages from Peter Mandelson, now, of course, Lord Mandelson, now British ambassador to Washington. All over the front pages here in the UK are these pictures of Peter Mandelson wearing a bathrobe with Jeffrey Epstein. It's been released as part of those documents. And this is apparently a visit that he made to Epstein's Island back in 2003. And Mandelson describing in this birthday book, describing Epstein as his best pal. Pretty embarrassing for the British ambassador, isn't it, Sarah?
Well, yes, and not surprisingly, the British Embassy in Washington is staying very stum tonight, Carol. They're not saying anything, and Mandelson just wants us all to think about his earlier statement that he wished he'd never met the man. But certainly, we're getting more details from this book about how close they are or were. And of course, Mandelson's saving grace, though, is that he didn't actually sketch a lewd drawing or sign his name where a woman's private parts might be, as Trump is alleged to do. And of course, what could be more fitting in some ways than the British ambassador to Washington, whose job it is to be a Trump whisperer, is in fact in the same book as the President of the United States. So from that point of view, I think Mandelson thinks he can weather this scandal. But my goodness, it's deeply embarrassing. I've been looking at the pictures of Mandy in his swimming trunks, and another picture of him with a friend saying, "We love you," to Jeffrey Epstein. And also he describes Epstein as a mysterious man and who comes and goes as he pleases and often leaves Mandy hanging about waiting for him to turn up, leaving him with so-called interesting friends, and were directed to portraits of people with their faces blacked out, but in various states of déshabille, undress, shall we say. So, yeah, this is very, very embarrassing for our distinguished ambassador to Washington. But I don't think it's terminal.
And it seems as though the Democrats now feel that there is enough potential embarrassment for the president and others that they're going to keep pressing for the release of more information about Epstein. And part of the problem is, of course, that during his election campaign, President Trump said that he was going to release all the documents relating to Epstein and the Epstein trials and so on. And it's only once he got to the White House that he discovered that he actually, they've only released partial bits of it. Bits of them have been redacted and so on.
Yeah, funny that, isn't it, Carol? Because when the scandal came too close to him, he doesn't like it. I mean, Trump has been trying to proclaim that scandal dead, old fake news and a Democratic hoax. And calling it a hoax, as Caroline Levitt repeated today, is of course a very good tactic for rallying the MAGA base, because the more Democrats hound Donald Trump on this issue, the more it's easier for the Republicans to brush it off as just a Democratic obsession. And this pressure campaign to silence the Republican base has been working up till now. But it's asking a lot of people who aren't part of the core faithful Donald Trump supporters to deny the evidence of their own eyes as to what is in this book, and to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt over this when he was so loudly trying to accuse Democrats of a cover-up before. So, and let's face it, if all goes well with the economy and many other things, nobody will care about the Epstein saga. But with joblessness on the rise, with inflation potentially on the turn as well, and warnings about the economy in America, this is not a good time for a scandal to be dogging President Trump.
Sarah Baxter, Director of the Marie Colvin Center for International Reporting. Great to speak to you. Thanks so much.
Cheers, Carol.